Hey guys, Chris here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about yet another in-ear monitor system. I know, I thought I was done reviewing these, and I really was, but then CODA Music Technologies came out with their UHF system, and I've been seeing ads for it, and I was genuinely curious, and so they sent me one. Thank you, CODA Music, for sending this to me. But with all these budget in-ear monitor systems, you've got digital, UHF. Are they all the same? What is the difference? Are some better than others, or is it an equal playing field? Or some of you may be thinking, well, they're made in China, they're not any good. And to that, I would say, look at the back of your Shure units, and you'll see that those are also made in China. So we can squash that. Now it's just a matter of testing out, are they any good? Let's find out. So I'm not going to go over all the specs and bore you guys with that. You can read up on that if you want. I want to get into the demonstration. But real quick, things to note, just to compare and contrast. I do like that they have a nice little screen here. It has not only a battery indicator, which is very nice, that the Xvives don't have. They just have a low battery indicator light. It's either green, it's good, or it's red, that it's going dead. But this actually has battery bar indicator to let you know the status, and that is very helpful. It also has a signal strength indicator, much like the bars on your phone. When you can tell how many bars you have. Now we have 4G and 5G, but I remember before all of that, it was like we had 3, 4, 5 bars, and then you got the 2 bars, your calls are dropping out. So it's kind of that situation here. So you can see your signal strength, it just goes to 3 bars. But if it starts dropping down, you know that you're probably having some interference. By that time, you're also hearing it. But it's also nice to have that display. I will say the battery life on here is very long. I just used this for a 2.5-hour gig this weekend, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars, and only 1 bar was missing. So it still had 4 bars of battery life after that gig, so that was quite impressive. They do take a little bit longer to charge, in my experience, than the Xvive units. However, I just charge them after every gig, and I come home and I plug them in and I go to bed, so it's not really a concern to me. But if you forgot to charge it and you got to the gig and it's about dead and you're in a panic, so that could be worrisome there, whereas the Xvives, they charge pretty quick. But regardless, what I would like to do, without going through all the specs here, I've reviewed all of these units individually. I would like to just have a shootout and just see which one is the best bang for the buck, and how they stack up, the UHF versus the digital, the 2.4 gigahertz of the Xvive U4, the 5.8 gigahertz of the U45, and then also this Phenyx Pro unit that seems much bigger and bulkier than the rest, but there's a reason for that. It is a legit solid unit. It is UHF also, but it has this mega antenna on it, and it's also stereo, whereas all these other ones are mono. Now Xvive is coming out with a stereo unit, but that's neither here nor there. We're comparing what we have here today, and no doubt this thing has some range on it, so I would say it's no competition with this one, but for the price point, it really is. So let's just go ahead and put them all to the test. I'm going to do what I've done in the past. I'm going to play some music out of my interface. I'm going to plug each one of these into the headphone output on the interface, so they all come with a 1/4-inch adapter. I'm going to plug them into that, and instead of my headphones, I'm going to plug an aux cord into the headphone output on each battery pack. This is the one for the Phenyx Pro, which is pretty legit. It takes batteries, AA batteries. It doesn't recharge, so that's either a pro or a con depending on how you look at it, but you can swap them out instantly and not have to recharge anything, so there is that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug an aux cord from the headphone output into the camera mic, and I'm just going to play some music. I'm going to walk outside, and it's a long range, and I know a lot of people would probably think, what's the point of that? Nobody's doing that. Well, I'm also going to do another test. This is just part 1, but the reason I do this is to show the signal strength, the range, but you're going through obstacles. And depending on where you're plugging these in, it could be a sound booth, it could be any kind of obstacle, even on stage, showing how people, just me walking in front of it, how that affects the signal. But the main thing is I want to show the importance of elevation. My audio interface is at desk level, so it's at waist level. These, especially since it doesn't have an antenna like this, you really need to elevate these as much as you can to get them above people's heads so that that signal can reach as far as possible. And that's why I want to demonstrate this, because after this, when we see the failure points of each of these units, I'm going to take a speaker outside elevated and have this elevated and show you how much more range they give. So here we go. All right, guys, so that was interesting to see the difference there. The Xvive units, let me just talk about that real quick, because I know in the comments people have tried to eat me up on that, and it's just a backwards concept. Now, I understand the frequency range on how they should be, just like your home Wi-Fi. You've got, if you have a dual band Wi-Fi, you got your 2 gigahertz, your 5 gigahertz, and the 5 gigahertz is a faster signal within that vicinity. In that room, all the devices that are close to that router are going to connect to 5 gigahertz, and that's going to be the fastest one. But all the exterior extremity devices in other rooms are not going to be able to really get that signal, so they're going to go in the 2.4 gigahertz band because that has a better range, right? But that doesn't seem to be the case with these, and that's what in the past videos I was trying to demonstrate. And all of my testing, on camera and off camera at my actual gigs, you would think the 2.4 gigahertz would have better range, but it just doesn't. The 5.8 gigahertz has better range, and it's less obscured by obstacles and people and things, even though you should elevate these regardless. But even if you don't, I've had so much better experience with the 5.8 gigahertz U45 unit, this one. And so I don't really know why to explain it, because it seems counterintuitive and backwards from the way it should be. But that's just been my experience, and that's what I demonstrated here, and I'm going to demonstrate again in this next test. So the CODA, I've used this at a gig, and I've used it at a church this past week. I've used it at a wedding this weekend, and it performed great. Now, granted, even at the wedding with the DJ, it was elevated, and I was never more than 15 feet away from it, so I had no dropout. But I think the UHF, it has that white noise a little bit more so. The digital frequency is a cleaner signal, and with microphones, especially if there's music going, it's hard to tell, but when you're using earbuds, you can hear the difference, and it is a cleaner signal. Now, the white noise that came through on here is way exaggerated compared to what it is in real life. I hardly notice it at all, except for going back and forth. I'm like, yeah, the digital signal is a little cleaner, but the white noise that showed up on the camera just now as I was watching this, I'm like, no, that's really exaggerated. It's not that loud. It's not this hiss, but that's just the way it came across for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a frequency thing that is coming across with the camera. I tried different aux cords. It didn't make any difference. To that same point, the Phenyx Pro has it almost, I can visualize it as solar flares, but they're like just audio flares, just it's like a hiss in and out, but it's not consistent. But it never drops signal. But I've always had that with this, and that I can hear in my headphones with this. But that constant that hiss of this, I don't hear I don't hear hardly at all, and certainly not that loud. So anyway, these are actually really clear, not quite as clear as the Xvive U45. I still feel it is clear, but anyway, I just wanted to put that out there for whatever it's worth. The range was obscured in this, surprisingly. So it was, it had a little bit less range than the regular Xvive U4 in this test. Now, I think they're pretty on par when we go to this next test. Now I'm going to go outside, and I'm going to put a Bose S1 speaker up on a stand, little battery speaker. I'm going to do the same thing, but it's going to be outside. It's going to be elevated, and we're going to see how that pans out. All right, guys, we're back. Final thoughts. I thought that went pretty well. Again, the Xvive U4 and the CODA Technologies, CODA Music, I think they're pretty close on that range. But in this case, this one won out because this one had some dropout when I got to not only to the back of the fence, but a little bit of interference going around my brick shed. Whereas this one didn't. So in that regard, this one wins over. I still like the clarity of this, but right now these are on sale, and I think it's a pretty good bang for your buck. Now, of course, the Phenyx Pro unit, I expected it to deliver because it didn't drop out. I mean, it had some interference, but it didn't drop out from even inside going through my house and the windows to the backyard. So certainly outside elevated, it was going to be fine, and it was. But it is a much bigger unit, though the cost is there. It's in the same ballpark as these other ones, price-wise. But it is a bulkier system. It's a lot more to set up. So if you're just looking for a quick plug-and-play unit, the CODA Technologies unit is a good option. The Xvive is a good option. But if you're not having to do that, if you're looking for something to just plug it in and leave it, whether it be at your church or a music venue, or you maybe have a rack mounted thing, you guys, you and your band or whoever you're playing with, rolling this in and out off of a truck, that stuff that's just going to be rack mounted, then things like this are the way to go. Your situation, your mileage will vary. I will say this, one of the things I like about the Xvive unit, and this is what we use for the bandstand at my church, we have about 12 horn players, and we share a Allen Heath box where we mix the click and everything that we want to hear, and we all share that one transmitter, and we have about 10 of these body box receivers, and we all share it and have our earbuds. Which, again, I didn't mention that, but none of these come with earbuds. These are just the devices. You need your own headphones, earbuds, whatever you're going to use. None of these come with that. But I have some videos on some good budget ones on Amazon if you're interested in those. I'll put the links in the description. So you can get whatever earbuds you like. But we all share these. So you can stack these. Xvive sells like 4-packs of these where you can get that and one of the transmitters. I'll just hold this one up here. You can get one of these can feed is tons of these. Yeah, I don't know what the exact number would be. The more you do, probably the less quality is there. But we run 10, no problem. So bringing that up to the CODA Technologies, this is possible to do that as well. I talked to them via email. However, they don't currently sell the extra body packs, which is they look very similar, but this is the body pack. It has the volume knob and the headphone port on it. So anyway, so technically one of these could run many of these as well. It says so on their website, but currently they don't sell extra of these. You just have to buy the whole the combo here, which is fine because if you buy those, one, they're on sale right now, but two, that way you have the option. You can still stack several of these up if you do that, or if you've got enough monitor outs for everybody to have their own mix, then you can do that too. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Right now, they only sell them as a package of the two, versus you could get several of these and one transmitter. So food for thought. But I think these are very worthwhile and definitely worth looking into if you are in the in-ear market. Hopefully this demonstration maybe helped answer some questions. Again, the only thing I could say is that white noise that you hear, it's not nearly as exaggerated as that. I would say it's 10% of what it came across of that, if even that. But wearing it at my gigs, I didn't think anything of it at all. I would probably only notice it going back to a digital unit, and I'm like, okay, there's a little bit more clarity there, but otherwise you wouldn't notice it. Honestly, I noticed it more in this, and this didn't come across on the camera nearly as much as this did. So anyway, for whatever that's worth, hopefully this is helpful to somebody. Again, this is not a paid and endorsed review. Hopefully I was trying to be as neutral as possible here, and I just was genuinely curious how these would stack up and whatnot. So hopefully this has been helpful to somebody watching this. If so, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you next time.